Game of Thrones.
Spoilers are coming now.
Game of Thrones.
Is the series finale, Jeff? It's the last of them. Game of Thrones has become extinct.
Until the prequels come.
Which
are already
which are already being filmed in Scotland
right
or something now. Yeah. So, started as usual. My score.
Out of 10. Out of 10.
It was a 5.
Ooh, I thought you were going to go a little higher.
I was in my head right now going between 5 and 6, but then I reminded myself of a couple things and I dropped it back to a 5.
Where do I go? Fuck. You know, if you had asked me what I scored it out of 10 right after the show, like right after it ended, credits roll up.
There's a lot more emotion involved in that.
Yeah. It would have been another 7.5. Now that I had time to think about it, let it digest.
That's what you have to do sometimes.
I'm at a 6 for now.
Okay.
I'm at a 6 for now.
We'll talk about it more and see if that changes.
It might change, but I'm at a 6.
I'm telling you, it's a 5 for me, and it ain't really going anywhere, I don't think. You know why it's a 5? Before we get into the dirty of it, you know why it's a 5? Because of the music and because of the actors.
Yeah.
And that's the only points, and they carried the fuck out of that 5, and that's it. Pretty much everything else about that episode, bad. Like, strikingly bad. In fact, I have a list.
Oh, you may...
Because I didn't want to forget. Because in other episodes that we've discussed, I've forgotten shit because it's like a week since we, almost, like 4 or 5 days in between. So, some questions I have here. Or some things, some general observations I made during the show. That I was sitting there going, what the fuck? Apparently, Jaime and Cersei only needed to move about 10 feet in either direction to survive what they did because...
I hated that, dude.
When I thought that Tyrion was going to go down, see they completely stoned in, and it was just going to be him. That was it. Yep. Realizing what happened, that's it. Because when you watched in episode 5, the whole goddamn
area
place
comes down.
Every archway, everything.
Ding, boom, dead.
It wasn't the areas between the arches.
No, the
arches.
They started
everything
just coming down, bro. There was no escaping it.
No. And then we get into this, and you watch Tyrion walk in, and every archway is still intact, and there's like 5 bricks on the ground. And then he goes down, and so few bricks managed to hit the 2 of them that he only needed to remove 1 brick. 1! They weren't even bludgeoned or fucked up. It looked like they got tossed around in some dirt. But they were dead. And again, apparently all they needed to do was move 10 feet in another fucking direction, and they live. And instead, 1 brick takes it out, and then that's the show. No fucking joke. When I was watching that scene, and then he took the 1 brick off and saw it, I went, Cersei's still alive. In my head, I went, she's fucking alive. I can fucking feel it. She's alive. And thank God she wasn't.
Yeah. I said it out loud too when he went in there. I was like, whoa, wasn't this place gone down? And I said, wait, is Cersei alive? Is that why? Is Cersei alive? No. No, you just got to remove a brick and have a little shed a tear.
One brick.
Dude, and then of course, there's a little tiny gap up at the top so that he could fit through. And then when he goes in there, dude, it's clearer than motherfucking a beautiful sunny day.
The dragon head's
in Las
still
Vegas.
there.
Everything is fucking perfectly fine. They didn't even try to make it look like the place was fucked up.
No.
It was like clear, dude. Tyrion's walking around, not like walking over bricks, or he's just walking on ground.
Yes.
And then he gets to the part where there they are,
like,
and
bricks.
He sees Jaime's hand, right? It just so happens to be out there. And he's like, oh no. And he moves the brick, and there they are. And then the music, and the violin
Reigns
comes in.
of Castamere. What a goddamn terrible
All right, so
scene.
that's there's one bad
So
one.
there's one.
So that was one I was already thinking of.
Here's a question, Jeff. How in the fuck did Grey Worm get to the top of those stairs before Jon got there, when Jon left Grey Worm as he's killing off prisoners? Specifically, it wasn't like Jon was walking to like go have a snack or something. Jon was en route when he finds Grey Worm doing this shit. He's en route to go see Daenerys, and then walks away, and Grey Worm is still there slitting throats.
Yes.
And he and somehow beats Jon there and is at the top of the fucking stairs as if he's been there all afternoon. And then Jon just walks up and gives him the fucking sheepish look, and then goes in to have his little powwow or listen to Daenerys come out and give her thing. Then we see the scene or the shot of Daenerys walking out, and Drogo's behind and opens his wings, and it looks like she's got dragon wings and everything. And yeah, it's cool, but I mean, that was like it was almost like too obvious of a fucking scene. In fact, in my head, in a couple of other episodes before, I thought to myself, am I going to see this? Am I going to see some version of wings behind Daenerys at some point? And sure as shit, here we are. I
didn't hate that. I thought it looked nice.
Cool, but it was like,
I know what you're saying.
It was like a dad joke.
Yes.
It's like it was there, it was too easy, but you made it anyway.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But that I'm still mind fucked as to how Grey Worm got there, but it's whatever. Also, can somebody describe to me how the fuck there were that many Unsullied left? And more specifically, how there were that many Dothraki left after they sent pretty much every goddamn one of them to their deaths. And now there's like 10,000 of them.
I actually I saw
there.
the army. There were so many of them.
It looks like she didn't lose anyone.
I was like, who? Where? And when you're watching the battle, when they're all going into King's Landing, where were they then? Like you didn't see, like you saw some of them, but
well, the Dothraki we saw pretty much all of them.
No, I mean like in the previous episode.
Oh yeah, there was like nothing. You know why? Because they were dead.
It's like, where did they come from?
Raised from the dead.
Not only that, motherfucker. I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here, but at the end, where did the Dothraki go?
Oh, no, hold on.
Where the fuck did they go?
Oh, that's a good one by itself. Don't.
Okay.
Hold on that. Hold on, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Next up, Drogon really hates the Iron Throne.
There was some emo shit going on there.
So apparently the dragons have levels of intelligence far beyond what anyone was giving them credit for, because after he realizes that Daenerys is Rip.
By the way, Jon kills Daenerys.
Which
I saw coming the moment they were sitting in front of each other.
Yes.
And Jon was walking up. I like that part of the scene where Jon is walking towards the Iron Throne.
Yes.
The dragon's out front. The dragon kind of gets up, looks at him, is like, okay, it's just Jon.
Yeah,
he goes back.
in.
Because Jon's really the only one that can get close to her,
yes,
where she's completely has her guard down, and her dragon isn't going to go fucking buck wild. If it was anybody else, motherfucker was dead.
Yeah.
So I like that scene. I also like the fact that Daenerys, although she touched the throne, she didn't actually sit on the throne. And then Jon comes in. I liked that Jon. First off, the relationship between Dany and Jon, I didn't buy, because
it wasn't earned because they had to force it for speed.
Exactly. Yeah. So like at no point have I felt the emotional weight of those two together. Jaime and Brienne, you feel that.
Well, they had almost 2 seasons to get there. But them fucking was still stupid
even
as fuck.
Sansa and not Tyrion, the other T, the what's his face, runs in and dies with the spear.
Theon.
Theon. I bought that relationship.
Well, that had 5 seasons.
That had a lot of seasons. There are so many relationships that I got on board with, where when Jon Snow and Ygritte, remember that bitch from back in the day?
Yes.
I felt that relationship. So when she died,
yes, you
could feel the weight. I didn't.
Well, there was no time.
I didn't.
It was 6 episodes.
And the worst thing about it is, it's supposed to be the most important relationship out of all relationships.
Yes.
It's supposed to be a headbutt because they're supposed to love each other.
Now,
it was.
That being said, Emilia Clarke fucking smashed that scene about as much as you could ask anyone.
Oh, she acted. Yeah.
And that's the story of episode or season 8 and even season 7, is that for all the terrible fucking writing that existed, the actors, by and large, fucking killed it.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't ask for Amelia to portray the inner turmoil of Daenerys better. It just wasn't earned. That's why it felt weird. It wasn't that she acted it poorly. She fucking nailed it. She has an amazing. I mean, everyone laughs about her eyebrow use and everything, but she shows an incredible range.
She does use her eyebrows a lot.
Of emotion on her face that lent itself to trying to, even though they didn't earn it, when that scene happens, she did that scene justice, despite the fact that the writing was goddamn terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was no earn, and that was the whole. But that's the theme of season 7 and 8. Is that a lot of people don't have issue with the plot points. I mean, some plot points. Yeah. But it was more time. That none of the plot points had time to mature to earn any of the ending or the resolutions of those plot points. And that's just from being rushed.
I also think that at the end of season 7, that's when the Night King should have been killed. And then the whole next season, this season, should have been about the battle at King's Landing.
I still think there should have been 2 seasons. I think one of the seasons, at minimum, should have been the build-up of seeing Daenerys' character slip into madness,
go to the
for an
dark side.
entire season.
Yep.
And then I think an entire season could have been the last 2 episodes of this season of the rebuilding of Westeros afterwards.
I agree.
To that conclusion.
100%.
I think that's the 2 seasons and how it would have played out best, in my opinion, in terms of getting the most value out of the plot points that the show had. Would have given more credence to the relationship between Jon and Daenerys. Maybe choose some different plot points, because things like Jon's being related to her and his lineage and everything else, the way that they wrote out the end of the show made all of that completely useless.
Yeah, it's useless.
It meant nothing.
I know.
And it was the biggest build-up and
it was like the Night King. It was like the biggest plot points in all of Game of Thrones since the beginning.
Axed.
All of them died.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Yeah, there was no
all the side
anything.
Most of the side characters got resolutions.
Yes.
But all the main ones it was like, what was it for?
Well, and it was because it's made for longer showtime, right?
Man.
So they just had to castrate it.
What other bullshit we had?
We got to the point where you're at here. So we get to the end of the show. There's a couple.
Jump cut.
Getting ahead.
After Daenerys goes, and the dragon burns down the Iron Throne. Right? Has a little emo thing. Burns it because it's like, the Iron Throne caused all this.
Yeah,
and then he scoops up Daenerys, flies off into the sunset.
Wherever the fuck.
Then screen goes black.
Yeah.
The screen comes back, and a lot of time, a couple months or whatever has passed, right? Or a bunch of weeks.
3 weeks or 4 weeks, something
passed,
like that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Jon's still in prison. So what happened? Did Jon kill Daenerys, walk down from the Iron Throne or the melted pot, tell Grey Worm, I killed Daenerys, arrest me? Why couldn't he just go, you know what? She got on the dragon. She fucking pissed off somewhere. He could have said and came up with about a bajillion things, but yet we didn't even get to see the reaction of what Grey Worm, and why wouldn't Grey Worm at that point
just fight Jon?
Fucking fight him. Just be like,
Grey Worm's been looking for a reason.
They were setting it up.
Yes.
I was like, these guys are gonna throw down this episode, bro. Someone's dying. He kills the goddamn queen, turns himself in, and we don't even get to see an inkling of a reaction.
No reaction.
And there's nobody that is commanding, and we're seeing the Dothraki and the Unsullied. They love Dany. These guys are warriors. She is mad now. She's the mad queen. Everybody's cheering for her. She's like, we're going to conquer the fucking world. Not even just the 7 kingdoms. The whole world's going to know. And they're all like, yes, motherfucker.
Well, I think they also forget that Dothraki will take up king or queen as to whoever dethrones the current one.
That too.
So why the Dothraki were suddenly like, fuck Jon Snow.
Dude, everybody, it just doesn't make any sense. What did Jon, we didn't get to see any of that. It just goes right into Tyrion walking, and then here they are.
Time for the round table. And here we are. So,
fuck me.
Can somebody tell me why in the fuck they made them, almost everyone there, take turns at telling some of the worst fucking jokes in the world like it was a shitty stand-up comedian fest. Where somebody would stand up and tell like a bad fucking cringe joke, and then somebody else was telling a cringe joke, and then Sam gets up and makes like a fourth wall breaking, like let's poke fun at democracy joke.
Yeah.
And then
I know.
And then fucking Davos, when they're talking about, you know, what the Unsullied are going to do, Davos says, and I still don't know if he was being serious, and the writers just somehow forgot about it, but I have to believe they're intelligent enough for this. You know, Davos says, you know, go take these farmlands, create your own banner, create your own clan.
They can't have kids.
They can't have kids. They don't have dicks. That's one generation. And so I don't know what the fuck I don't know if that was a joke or if it was like, or what that was about. Anyway, it happened. That was fucking weird. And then, and then came, well, where am I here? And then came the... Oh, actually, no, we'll finish this first. So, then they decide. Tyrion gives this wonderful, long-winded speech after Grey Worm says, shut the fuck up, and then Tyrion says, nope, I'm going to talk anyway. And gives this big, long-winded speech and says, you know, we need to choose a king. Okay. And then Sansa's uncle stands up, makes a fool of himself.
Yeah.
And then Sansa's like,
That was cute.
Shut the fuck up.
That was
sit
cute.
down.
Like he was like a politician, like trying to like
I
win
didn't
over
hate
the
that.
crowd.
It was kind of like he shot a shot.
He shot a shot.
He shot a shot. He took it.
Yeah, and they said sit down.
He said sit down, and Sansa said sit down.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, okay, well you're my niece, but fuck, I have to sit down now."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was fine. I thought that was kind of funny. And then Tyrion, you know, goes on about how, you know, a bunch of reasons as to why Bran.
Bran the Broken.
He has the best story. And I thought in my head, and I went, wait a minute. I feel like Jon probably has a far more intricate and interesting story. Motherfucker literally orchestrated
all of it.
And came back from the dead.
And he's the rightful heir.
And he's the rightful heir. So he literally came back from the dead, is the rightful heir.
Yeah.
Usurped Daenerys.
Literally, yeah.
Warned everyone of the White Walkers. Brought Daenerys there to even be a hope of them surviving.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, Bran...
Well, I think what it was, the reason why they want to pick Jon is because Grey Worm was angry that he needs to pay for his crimes.
But Grey Worm just left with all the Unsullied. So and that's my other point.
I know.
Is that Grey Worm leaves, Jon's standing on the fucking pier. Grey Worm and all the Unsullied leave, which we'll talk about where in a second, leave, and then I just think to myself, all right, they're gone. Who is stopping them from just letting Jon stay here?
Turn around now and go rule. They want to come back, kill him. What are they going to do? But at the
same time,
the Unsullied can't...
but here's part of the problem. The Dothraki apparently not underneath Jon's banner, even though technically speaking, historically speaking, that would be likely what would have happened.
Yeah.
They're off somewhere. Fuck, we don't even know.
We don't know.
No, we don't know. Dothraki.
They don't mention them.
The Unsullied are gone.
Yeah.
And so all you have left is the scant few Northerners that also, Sansa's like, you know, little brother, you're going to make a good king, but we're staying independent.
Yeah.
So what exactly does King's Landing have to defend itself? Daenerys just killed literally fucking everyone.
Yeah.
The two biggest parts of the army, which were already dead but then got resurrected, they're gone again.
Yes.
So the Northerners are going back home. So
unless the Dothraki are somehow
I don't fucking know. The only thing that we know of is that Bran hints that he might warg into the fucking dragon to see where he took Dany at the end of the show.
Yeah.
And then if he brought back Drogon, well, then it doesn't matter. They can bring everyone that they fucking want. But everyone's fucking dead.
Yeah.
The army's dead. So, like, who's defending King's Landing right now at the end of the day?
No one.
So then maybe they can't have Jon there because if the Dothraki come back, they're fucked. Because apparently not the Dothraki, the Unsullied. Because the Unsullied also multiplied numbers out of fucking nowhere, and they have a way bigger standing army, way more trained than whoever the fuck is left, and they just come in and kill everyone. So I guess it is whatever. However, maybe you just wait 6 months because the Unsullied were like, hey, how about you go to Noth?
Mm-hmm.
You know, where what's her name? Oh fuck, what was her name? Grey Worm's girlfriend that got beheaded.
Sunday.
Missandei.
I call her Sunday.
Missandei.
I call her Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. So, But I feel like, again, either the writers are stupid or the Unsullied are stupid, specifically Grey Worm, because we've already know that Noth is home to a particular breed of butterfly that carries a horrible, horrific disease that is deadly to anyone who is not a naturally born Noth.
Yes.
Which means they literally are sending themselves to death.
Yes.
So if they just wait like 6 months, the Unsullied are dead.
The war will win anyway. Maybe,
John's back.
Maybe Bran knows all this. Maybe this is part
And
of the.
that
Maybe this
is
part
my
of the.
last point. I think that ain't even Bran, bro.
What do you think it is?
What was the original Three-Eyed Raven's name?
Oh, the older guy.
I think he's just passed himself because they like traded places, right? I think he just straight up fucking jacked up Bran's body.
He's the new three-eyed raven dude.
Yes,
He's the new old three-eyed raven.
But he's the same guy, but using Bran's body, and he orchestrated all of this to get himself into power. And the fucking Night King, who has been trying to stop the Three-Eyed Raven from taking power over everyone, because Three-Eyed Raven doesn't really die.
Well,
So
he
he
gets
can
passed on. Right?
He's passed on, but he doesn't really technically die. So he could have absolute power
Adam, this is
for eternity.
You know what?
And the Night King,
you know what you're doing right now?
failed.
You know what you're doing right now?
And now Bran.
You're trying to make this story make
Well,
sense.
you've done this every single episode, so I'm going to do it now.
All right.
Is that Bran, who goes in, doesn't have a Master of Whispers or anyone because he doesn't need one because he knows fucking everything. He has the world's worst fucking hands. He has Tyrion. He has a dude who's a master of coin who doesn't know how interest works. He has a guy who's a master of shipbuilding who just learned how to read from a child 6 months ago. And he has a fucking... his maester is a guy who is so naive he will go along with whatever the fuck you tell him. And that's all he's got underneath of him. And he gets to rule, absolutely. Night King's dead, which means nobody's coming after the Three-Eyed Raven. He gets to pass himself on for as long as he fucking wants. Everyone's on board thinking he's Bran, because Bran is loved. And he just gets to sit back. Because before Bran showed up, dude was 125 years old.
If that's your coping mechanism for a bad show ending, I'm with you, bro.
No, I'm just saying that could possibly be a component of if Martin writes these books before he's dead. That might be the direction it's going, and not just that Bran is Bran himself is. I
hope so.
Because we're going from Bran preaching.
Yes, but Bran
preaching that he has want for nothing.
Yeah, he doesn't want anything.
And then all of a sudden his answer to I know you don't want it, but and his answer was, well, why did you think I came all this way?
Exactly. Well, I don't want. It's like it's so conflicting because he doesn't want for anything, but yet
why wouldn't he be the player?
I don't know.
If you look into Varys' backstory, Varys had a shitload of money. It's always for the realm, but Varys undermined 3 different possible peaceful kings en route to trying to get Aegon on the throne, and then fuck all that shit up to get Daenerys going, and then that went tits up, and so then he tries to get Jon in, that failed, and he's dead.
So
everyone's playing the game, bro.
Yeah, I don't think that's the theory, but you know what? If it makes you feel better, sure. I mean, it sounds better in theory, but I don't think that's it. I just think Game of Thrones ended the way Game of Thrones ended. It doesn't make sense because everything was rushed. I did now here. Okay, so now we've gone through a lot of the parts that we both didn't like because I agree with virtually everything you said. I don't know how you can't. I didn't hate the resolution of Arya. She's going to go west of Westeros to see what the world is.
Which was a throwback to what she said a few seasons ago.
So she got to do her thing. I like that. I like that Sansa.
Before you go in for a story, there's one of my favorite memes that came out of this episode was her on the pier with everyone saying, "What's west of Westeros? Nobody knows." And then there's like a zoom in on Bran's face going,
Bran knows.
But nobody ever thinks that.
But nobody. It's like why don't you just ask Bran what's on the what's on the west of Westeros? I liked Sansa becoming the Queen of the North. So I thought that was a good resolution for her. She was looking awfully smoking in that episode. I don't know. Maybe it's just the woman with power. I like that. I like the scene where they all chanted, Queen of the North, that she got her crown. She has no man beside her. She's just doing her thing. She deserved it. She went through a lot.
Had a crown that was awfully similar to Cersei's crown.
Yeah, very similar. She has very similar traits to Cersei, too.
Yes.
But she's not as obviously...
Most of the good traits of Cersei.
Yes, the good ones.
Yeah.
Jon Snow's ending where he kind of goes back to the Night's Watch, which didn't make any sense to me because the wall should have been... There's a big gaping hole where the wall is.
Well, there's a big gaping hole. There's no more White Walkers.
There's no more White Walkers. So what are they keeping watch for?
Tradition. Nothing that mattered anyway because he just went there.
He just said, and then he went with his
Tormund's
boy.
there,
Tormund,
and everyone
he went
just said,
back. He said, "I'm going to go with the wildlings. I'm just going to go back and fucking."
Props to them for using the gate, not the giant gaping hole in the wall.
Yeah, sure. And they closed the gate like it means something because
of course.
About 20 feet that way.
It was an interesting shot because that was like the opening shot of Game of Thrones was the guys leaving the gates, going into the woods, but now there's no threat out there, right? So it was like a bookend. Like there was like the bookends
and then you see all the kids and women and stuff, but you've never really seen them before. You saw them a couple times, but not in that type of amount. Like it was like all of a sudden they opened up a daycare and there was like fucking kids everywhere.
It's the future, Jeff. The future is in their hands.
You know what? It's like, and then when it just wrapped up, I thought that this was the best episode of the season. Now that I think about it, I think it's the second best episode of the season. I think episode 2, honestly, is my favorite episode of the season.
Well, the thing about this episode is that it was the best that it could have been
for where we got
the 5 episodes previous.
Yeah, I would have preferred a lot of things to not happen the way they did, but that's not my call.
You can't avoid it because the first 5 episodes...
That's just the way it went.
Kind of set that up.
So for what they set up, I thought that they stuck the landing for what they set up.
Yeah. But
at the same time, it was still a rushed mess.
Yes.
Disappointing, yes, but also in certain ways, it was a good closure. I love the Brienne scene where she's going through the book of all the knights. I was disappointed that
she might close that book a little quick.
She closed that book, but
it's wet ink.
What?
Want to wait on that one?
Well, with Game of Thrones, maybe 10 minutes had passed before that, and she just closed it because at this point
she could have actually left that shit open.
Yeah,
came
for
back
a week.
3
Could have
months
been
later.
somebody else's hand that closed that book.
That's
why
right.
is this book open and
Who
closed
knows?
it? We would have never known.
She's a big lady. Could have been a man's hand.
It could have been a man's hand. I thought that scene was one of my favorite scenes in this entire season.
Yeah, that was good.
Because not only is she a great actress, and she didn't say a word, but you could see so much
everything going on there.
Her face, right? Yeah. Trying to hold back tears. She goes over to Jaime's page, and it's small. And they talked about this previously, where
that was like season 4.
Yeah, a bunch of it might have been even 3.
Where Jaime and her are standing in the room, and he's explaining what that book is.
Yes, and
who writes in it.
everybody's got long write-ups, and
Jaime
his
said
is
there's
like
still his word. Like I think his sentence is like, "There's still room left on mine."
Yes. So she goes in, she's writing out, and she's going through all the great things that he's done.
Yes. Yeah.
But the part that got me, bro, and I almost got choked up.
Yeah.
At the very end,
protected his
queen, and I said, because it wasn't.
But who was the queen?
Well, no,
her?
Well, no.
Or Cersei?
No, I believe that it was Cersei. But what made it emotional for me is the fact that she did that for him,
right?
Because she loved Jaime.
Yeah.
But
to just lie.
But Jaime was so loyal to Cersei as well, and in love with her, that he did go to die with her, and she had enough honor and
God
and
damn
love for
it!
her.
Did that sex scene have to happen?
No,
this scene would have been so much better for me.
But I loved what she did there.
Yes.
You could see the pain in her face of her doing that, and then what I wanted to see after that, I wish that I would have seen after that, is if she turned the book and there was her page, because she got knighted and she was the only knight. I wish that we would have she would have continued to scroll through,
Right, yeah,
and
and
there would have
seen
been
her.
something for her that somebody had wrote something in.
Well,
for
nobody.
her.
When she got knighted, nobody knew. She's the only between those people in the room. So
I understand.
She's technically the person that will have to write her own.
I suppose, but it would have been nice because so much time had passed.
Yeah, of course.
That it would have
Yeah,
been nice if there, or at least have her name there.
Yes.
I don't know, but it would have been. I thought that would have been a really, really nice touch. But I love what she did there for Jamie. I thought that scene was amazing.
Yeah, it was well done.
And it was a nice send off for her character.
Yes.
And it was another nice nod to Jamie as well, and the stuff that he did, not only for her, but how he did remain loyal to his queen and his sister, his lover. I just thought it was a beautifully. I thought that scene was beautifully done.
Can we talk about how beautiful the scene was, where we got to watch Tyrion rearrange chairs for like 2 minutes?
Yeah, and that I found that weird because why would you make it so that you can take a minute and a half, 2 minutes of an episode for Tyrion to move around chairs?
They'd have to write something, Jeff. Words would have to be used.
But we couldn't.
Instead, it was, we have to look at this as if the man who has had years of training as a king's hand in some of the most turbulent times in Westerosian history is suddenly nervous about being the hand of the king for Bran.
Yeah.
And so he's fidgeting. It's the chairs have to be perfect, and I
just-
have to be sitting in my chair. And you can see like he
Yeah.
tries to like position himself, like lean just the right way and everything. And then all the boys come in, like the fucking Brady Bunch come in and fuck everything up, and then we get that awkward scene where they're like, a couple months have passed by, and they're cracking jokes about how there's no brothels.
Yeah.
And shit, and you're like, like what? And then they give like the whole the Bran comes in, they give the whole send off of the king, and it's a botched like mess or whatever, and they're like, we're gonna that'll get better. So is this the first time in like a month or 2 months or however many months have gone by that they've actually ever met with Bran? Like, has Bran just never showed up at any point in time, or like, is this the first time ever? There's so much.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
What would have been cool too is if they made his wheelchair the Iron Throne, so that it looked not like identical, but it there was like some sort of significance to it.
Did you notice that Brienne's armor had a raven on it, the sigil?
I didn't notice that. No.
I only saw that in a video that was talking about like some things that you might have missed or whatever. And her breastplate has the raven on it.
That's
for,
cool.
for Bran's sigil.
That's cool.
Which was kind of a nice and an interesting touch or whatever. But yeah, it was.
Yeah, Podrick. Yeah, Podrick was a Kingsguard too.
Yeah, Podrick, of course.
That was cool when I saw him come in. It is what it is. I'm still gonna keep it at a 6, because I thought that they stuck the landing for what they were setting up. Doesn't mean it was perfect by any means, and I was totally fine with Dany dying early on and then the rest of the show being talking and whatever, because people are like, oh, it's boring when you just talk. It's like, shut the fuck up. That's what Game of Thrones is. I need more talking and less of whatever we've been getting.
Were basically leading up to that.
I need.
You'd be lucky to get an action scene once a season.
Yeah. But then when you got the action, it was so heavy. It was like the build up, it was like a whole season, and then the last episode, it was like a culmination of all that. All the stories, all the relationships,
Dude, I was streaming the other day, and I brought up one of my favorite scenes, which I talked about on the podcast a couple weeks ago, when I went back to watch it to remind myself how fucking good this shit was, where it was Varys and Littlefinger in the throne room. They had 2 talks in the throne room. One was the Chaos is a Ladder speech, which is a good one, but it's not my favorite scene. The one I'm talking about is the one where they basically trade verbal blows with each other back and forth, and it's like 5 minutes, and it's really like, it's like the jabs and shit.
Yeah, bro.
And they're just talking like in this normal tone, and it's a little back and forth, and Varys gets the last word in at the end, and everything is read between the lines, and the writing is so good, and the delivery is so fucking good. And I just went back to watch that because I wanted to remind myself about just how good that shit was. Because fuck,
it was great.
It was really good.
And
then you'd get like that one action scene for the whole season, and it was great because there was so much build up to that action scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we hit seasons basically 6, 7, and 8, it was just like, all right, we're not great writers, so we're gonna make up for that by just having action every second episode to carry us from beginning to end. And that's kind of what we ended up with. But
disappointing end, but I'm happy the show is over. I'm happy and sad. We're going to get the prequels. So, I mean, I'm sure those shows will be big. I'm sure I'll watch them. But I'd be lying. Oh, and there's people out there that think there's going to be a sequel, but I'll tell you right now, there won't be. There won't be. They're like, oh, well, they set it up for a sequel. Arya went to the west of Westeros, and Jon Snow is dead. No, those characters, they're done. Those actors and actresses, they're done. That's it. That's the show.
And now that I think about it, I can't remember. I was watching a piece on it, but in the books, the map for Game of Thrones, of the world map, is actually pretty substantial. I can't remember off the top of my head if there is anything west of Westeros on the map. I know that there's like an entire area with a huge amount of lore for the south.
Yeah.
And I think there's even a place east of Essos.
Yeah.
But I mean, the map is way fucking bigger than they mentioned in the show. So I can't remember.
So the only thing that I could think that could possibly happen where we see these characters again, all right? This is the only way, is they do all the prequels. They're a great success.
Yes.
And they need more Game of Thrones.
Yes.
And they're doing up to 5 prequels, but they've greenlit 3 of them, or 3 different stories or whatever.
Yeah.
That once they're done those, and this is probably going to take another 10 years, 15 years. If at some point, if the Game of Thrones is still a huge IP, they may make it so that they they tell a new story. George R.R. just says, go, I'm done. Here's, write me checks. Have fun with the property. Burn it to the ground. Where they can get those actors and actresses to come back. Because Sansa, Arya, Jon Snow, Bran, all those guys and gals are relatively young. Mm-hmm. Young actors and actresses. So if they do come back in 15 years, 10, 15 years, there could be stories to tell there, even if they pull a Star Wars and they're introducing new characters, and then they have these older characters that come in to sort of pass the torch on, so to speak, be part of it, and then we get we find out what's going on, and they could retell a story. But there's no way in fuck that we're seeing any of these characters for a very, very long time, if ever.
They, I think George's next license deal is direct to HBO and doesn't include D&D as like an exclusive thing. So HBO will have more free reign instead of just D&D saying, okay, well, HBO wants 2 more seasons, everyone wants 2 more seasons, but we just really want to talk about Star Wars.
Yeah.
So we're just going to axe this bad boy.
It's literally what it was, man. I can almost guarantee it.
Imagine getting a blank fucking check to do 2 more seasons.
HBO is like,
of the greatest television show of all fucking
they
time.
Said no.
And you go,
I like Star Wars.
Nah, I want to ruin my reputation first and then go to Star Wars.
Because Disney was like, how much, right? How much?
Because at that point, they were still basically on the backs of Martin's writing.
They were winning, bro. And Disney was probably like, dude, Star Wars needs fixing. Game of Thrones, let's get the writers. Let's give them a deal that they cannot refuse. So the writers are like, yeah, you know what? Let's make season 7 short. We'll make season 8 6 episodes.
Get right into it.
Fuck, HBO's like, please, here's a check.
You gotta believe somebody at Disney's watching these couple of last seasons going,
fuck, we should have
immediately regret this decision.
We should have let Rian Johnson do his thing first, brought these fuckers on afterwards.
Fuck that up. Fucked that right up.
Because the press right now, I mean, we've got the petitions that are going on. Sansa comes out, or the actress that plays Sansa, she comes out, Sophia Turner, she comes out and says, you guys are ridiculous. And it is kind of ridiculous, that there's petitions of people who are like, we want it being remade. There is a 0 chance. It doesn't matter if the fucking entire world signed that petition. You just don't do that. It's just not going to happen ever. It's just no. Yeah. Get over it. The show didn't stick the landing for the vast majority of people, including myself. And that's just it. I can live with it. I thought they stuck what the bullshit they led up to some degree, but in terms of the whole thing,
that ain't it, bro. No, I don't think so.
That ain't it, bro. They did not Breaking Bad me in any way. They didn't stick that one. They just ripped the dream.
Well, it's done.
It's over.
And now George has come out and said he should be done the book, The Winds of Winter, I think is the one that he was working on, by 2020.
All right.
Which makes sense because I think, like I said before, what is George's incentive to do this if the show is running? I still don't even know if I believe him, because what's his incentive of writing an ending if people already are aware of the ending, unless the ending is so dramatically different?
He said it wasn't, though. He said how they get to the end
is different. Yeah.
And different characters will play different roles.
Yeah.
But other than that,
people are still going to buy the books like crazy. So he's
they're going to buy it and pray that it's better than what they got, so that they can just...
They won't have to pray very hard.
No.
So
it will be better.
It will be better.
Yeah.
So that's coming up. So people will have that to look forward to. Some people were wondering if at the end of the episode they were going to make an announcement that he actually had the book done and like announce a release date. No, but
this is George R. R. Martin.
But 2020, and that's if he survives to 2020.